Welcome back to the watch and welcome to the Rings of Power episode 6 review. We are live, but I always like to make sure, get confirmation, though I'm not sure I can trust chat because sometimes they like to troll, but we will check. Yeah, it looks like I'm live. I can see myself. Make sure you guys can hear me. All right, so live stream review, Rings of Power episode 6. Boy, as the title of this stream might imply, it's really dumb. Like, shockingly so. I shouldn't be surprised these days about how stupid the writing can be. It does make you wonder, though. I genuinely, did this pass through anyone's hands that have any level of critical thinking and just like raise a question like, this doesn't really make sense? And there's something like in this whole episode that's kind of underpinning, kind of what they're leading up to at the end of the episode, which is just so stupid. My gosh. But still, thank you everyone for joining me in this journey. We'll get through it. If you join me for episode 5 review, or you've watched that, I was struggling. That one made me really, really struggle. This one was bad, okay? Though I think I endured it a little better. Maybe I'm building a resistance. Having said that, though, it wasn't easy. I was still groaning and looking at the time and just thinking, gosh, this is boring. And it is. And then the stupidity just makes it worse. I've said this repeatedly. There's like no likable characters except maybe Durin Jr., Durin the Younger. But he's not an engaging story. He has a moment in this episode that I might, I'll give credit to the actor. But that does not redeem the show at all. We have a super chat from UP Shoot for $5. My water boiler is broken and my toilet is loose, but I'm still having more fun than Shad watching this bovine excrement. Yes, prayers appreciated. Hope that works out for you. And yeah, this was not an enjoyable experience. Mark of Reality for $50 says, keep up the good work. I will, sir. And thank you very much for the support. So, general, overview before we go into the bit by bit kind of breakdown going through the episode, which is the pattern, the trend. That's what we like to do here on these reviews. And so, Eregion, they've been leading up to this. It's about to get besieged, right? And I will show you when we go through the bit by bit. It's basically on their doorstep from the beginning of the episode, or close to. And no one notices. They say, oh, we've been sending people out. No one's been returning except this one guy that has a death kind of message carved into his chest. And they didn't think to raise the alarm yet, right? And then sending people out, no one returning. Like, how hard is it to miss an entire friggin' army that is literally just over the hill? And Eregion has these big towers. I'm pretty sure you can actually see them from these towers, right? And they're trying to say this massive orc army is in it. And they actually confirmed that it was there the entire episode towards the end, because throughout the episode where Galadriel is talking with Adar about, oh my gosh, Galadriel, she entertains and at one point accepts working with the orcs to defeat Sauron in her mind. It's insanity, right? But that's how far gone they are with Galadriel. That Galadriel will actually work with evil orcs, and the orcs, they just want to defeat Sauron, and the show poses this as a type of preventative, necessary thing. They have to do this, otherwise the elves are going to invade them. So this is all defensive. They're really trying to frame it like the orcs aren't the bad guys at all. They're really doubling down on that whole notion. But yeah, so Galadriel is sitting with Adar through this episode, and what you'll notice is that they're not moving. Okay, they're not traveling. They're in a camp. The entire episode talking about stuff, and then we get this panning out shot where it reveals where the camp is. Literally just over the next hill, right near Eregion. They're there the whole episode, and you're wondering, okay, maybe they just got there. How much time has passed? Well, they show several amounts of times of Galadriel just talking with Adar, but enough time for Sauron to travel to the Dwarven kingdom and back. Okay, he actually sees the smoke over the hill. No one else sees the smokes because everyone in this show is just retards. Apparently, they've lost the plot. Right? He sees the smoke. No one else does seem to. And then he also travels all the way to the dwarves and back to get some more mithril. Right? And that whole time, no one else even just sees the smoke, raises the alarm, walks over a hill, sees a massive orc army right over there. And then, right, when the episode ends with them launching like trebuchet shots, which actually they're like modern day artillery with the range and size of these things. It pisses me off. That it happens so often, right? Range way too far for any historical trebuchet, but as it's shooting, everyone's like, "We're under attack!" Like it's a shock. No one saw it. And that's what I mean, how dumb it is, okay? I get no point did anyone just like pick up the script and just go, we have a huge, and they even go out of their way to point out that it's not just a legion, it's a really massive, and they have this reveal of like orcs lighting campfires, and there's so many there. So they go out of their way to point out there's so many orcs, and not a single frigging moron in the city noticed. Not like you could actually see the smokes from the fire, right? And there'd be so many signs of an army that big. Nah, it's just like the show, because it's written by people who just they're not good at this, okay? They constantly work with contrived bullcrap to achieve what they want in the story. They have a plot point like, we need this to happen and this to happen, this to happen, and they do not have the talent to get between those plot points logically or with cleverness or just with consistency, like the characters doing what, smart, normal people would do. It's utterly insane. Magnum Norse for $5 says, what time is it in Australia and why does Rings of Power suck? Well, I'm explaining why it sucks. And at the moment, it is nearly 8 p.m. in the evening for me. Right? It is so dumb. And that's like going through the whole episode. Of course, there's some Numenor stuff. The way Numenor determines their rulers is basically if large creatures in the world say or point or don't kill someone, that determines the rulers of Numenor. So if an eagle lands and whoever walks up to the eagle, he's king. But if a kraken spits you out because you don't taste good, you're the queen now and supersedes the eagle. What about the eagle? Is the eagle going to be pissed off? It's like, hang on, I vouched for this other guy, even though he just walked up to me and I was probably vouching for him. But no, that determines the monarchy in Numenor. It's comically stupid, this show. All right. And these are just narrative problems in the plot. Doesn't even touch on how unlikable the characters are and that you're not investing, you don't care, and how stretched out everything is, making it just a slog where nothing real interesting is happening and it's so boring. And although I think some of that slog, like they're hinting it's going to be a battle next episode, action warfare, so not so slow, but genuinely like the very first combative act in this battle that they do at the end of the episode to foreshadow what's happening next episode was something incredibly dumb, like trebuchets with the power and range of modern day artillery. It's insane. Pet peeve of mine, I mentioned, okay, but that just, I was like, oh no, we probably going to have a whole episode of just a battle, and it's going to melt my brain. I remember the battle in the season 1, and it did melt my brain. It was, and that's what we have covered for the next episode. I don't know how I'm going to survive it. That is going to be rough. Oh gosh. Oh wow. So That's what we're dealing with, okay? A show that is boring and stretched out, and then when they try and do something interesting, it's all just stupid and founded on crap and contradictory. Like that battle in season 1 was unbelievably dumb. Okay, you can check out my reviews. I know I did a fight scene autopsy on Galadriel's sword fighting in season 1. Forget the exact episode. They said that there's probably going to be 2 full episodes of battle. Gosh. Oh my gosh. That one I think I'm going to need support to get through. Oh, it's going to be rough. W85 for $20 says, making the Numenorians out to be complete idiot weaklings, complete opposite of Tolkien writing. Sigh. Yeah, 100%. Like, the Numenorians is one of the biggest letdowns, I think, because you could have a whole series about the Numenorians. You could even, like, if you want Game of Thrones style politics, right? Really engaging stuff, you could do that all around Numenor. The level of politics they have in this show is an animal lands in front of the person wanting to be the ruler and they become the ruler. Or an animal spits out the... And then you have people deciding to be cartoon mustache twirling villains all of a sudden to just, be evil. Because remember, they're the bad guys. You have to not really like them. The sophistication in this is on Looney Tunes level. Unironically, remember when Theo was in that cage and the wooden bars of the cage were big enough that he could just slip through, but they're trying to say, they're trapped, trust us, guys, and it's not even high enough they could climb down? You see that type of stuff in cartoons, but that's the show that they want. Nick Filoni for $5 says, Orc Lives Matter. They go there even more in this episode. And it's like they want their cake. They want to have their cake and eat it too, like where they want the orcs to be sympathetic and they're just, they just want to live happily in Mordor. And it's the elves attacking them, even though they slaughtered like heaps of people and overtook and wiped out the southern state Mordor. But no. Just let them go home in peace, right? But the elves are going to chase them, those mean, nasty elves. And the show is like trying to forget what they did to take Mordor. And it's just trying to say, oh, no, this is their home, okay? And then, at the same time, they're trying to show the orcs, that's just, they're not really wanting to do this. They don't want to go to war and fight. Yet they have them bloodthirsty, like, we're going to kill you and stuff in other scenes. Like in the scene where they capture Galadriel, they're like, let's go kill the elf wench and stuff like that. It's like, so you try to depict the orcs as the stereotypical bloodthirsty, mad orcs. And at the same time, trying to depict them as, no, they're sympathetic. Look, this is an orc family and see he cares for his child and stuff like that. Like, these things are contradicting one another completely. James Sapp for $20 has something to add on the orc subject. The orcs are evil and probably only Eru Iluvatar could change them, but they do not want to fight the Dark Lord's wars because they hate him. But they do not want to fight the Dark Lord. Hey, most would probably prefer to be bandits or operate like the goblins in the Hobbits. I can see that, they hate a lot of things, but it seems like they really enjoy killing and eating man flesh, or pillaging and doing all the nasty stuff, which is what they generally seem to do when left to their own devices. Set traps for unsuspecting people going into their caves and tormenting them and things like that. And my impression of orcs seems like that they just need an excuse to go to war. Like the more canon style orcs, that's the impression that I get out of them, that they're hungry for that bloodlust and for the killing. And if a Dark Lord rises there, all right, let's go all on board. But still, thank you for the super chat. So, as I mentioned, they want their cake and eat it too. And now we're just seeing this contradictory kind of depiction of the orcs. And we get this from the very opening scene of the episode, which is what we're going to be looking at, going through the episode bit by bit now that we've kind of given the broad overview. And as I mentioned, it's really, really dumb. I want to emphasize the thing about how does it pass so many hands? Like some of the mistakes and the dumb things the characters are doing are so obviously stupid. How? Just how? It's baffling to me. Utterly baffling. And so here we go. Rings of Power. It starts with, a discount Legolas walking through the forest, and he hears some orcs. And the orcs, they're just chatting away, and they don't want to fight in a war because they don't want to die. We might need to even try and listen to them. Let's see if we can hear them.
I don't care what they call us.
I don't care what they call us, because they can call us deserters.
Anything's better than dying to help Adar.
So anything's better than dying to help Adar chase a ghost. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting that sentence specifically, a comment by the orc, is that their next action is to fight and then get killed. Right? They see discount Legolas, look, and they just go. Let me mute it, and they just go straight to kill him. So he's watching them. And so these are they're all deserters, right? And discount Legolas is watching them. They're walking away, and if these are orcs that don't want to die and they want to avoid fighting for the risk of death, if they see an armed elf who is there, very likely trained, and with the reputation of elves in this world, elves are basically superhumans, right? They are angelic beings that are usually pretty good in a fight. And if you see a guy wearing armor and carrying a bow, he's probably going to be good in a fight. And so they've established, the orcs, that they don't want to die and they're avoiding a war to avoid death. They see a warrior elf and they think, let's take him. It's like, and you might say, no, they're going to take him because they think they can win. Well, what, they didn't think they could win the other battle? They're outnumbering and they're getting the drop on, Eregion and stuff like that. And why do they want to kill him as well? He's not being a threat to them. And this is what I mean about having their cake and eat it too. This is the contradictory thing right here, okay? Is if these orcs are so, we just want to live peacefully in Mordor, why are they attacking an unthreatening elf for no reason at all? Because that's what a stereotypical orc would do. I can imagine, elf, let's kill him. Good meal. Some meat right there. Or if not meat, we can grab his stuff. We like shinies. Let's just kill him and take his stuff. Okay? That would be the stereotypical, but they've established these orcs don't want to fight. So if they don't want to fight, they just want to go home. Why are they killing him? And if it's to get loot, a really great way to get loot? A war! Sacking a really rich city. So they're clearly not after loot, and they're afraid of death. It is completely ass backwards. It is just so contradictory, right? Because right here, he's just rushing away, and orc comes in, no hesitation, just trying to murder him. Tim Mulsey for $10 says, thanks for watching this crap, mate. Personally, I would rather watch my toenails grow. You are helping us know what to avoid. Here is $7 for your psych bills. Stay sane. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Right, so he just comes down and tries to kill him. I'm going to get you. And of course, discount Legolas, he's the bestest. And so he just backflip kicks. Those two other orcs, the ones that said they don't want to fight, they see what's going on and they're like, let's go kill him. No hesitation at all. All right. Again, they want their cake and eat it too. Yep, they come in and then he just kills him completely. Now, there is an interesting interpretation of this scene. It's like, I guess they didn't have their weapons drawn. And so did discount Legolas just murder unthreatening orcs for the sake of just murdering them? Does that make this guy the bad guy? Are they unironically wanting to make the elves the bad guys and the orcs just the innocent? They're just misunderstood. This elf just killed him because they were orcs. They didn't like the way they looked. I could see an interpretation of that scene. Doesn't discount the criticism of that other orc just killing him out of the blue, who was also a deserter, and all the questions like, if he's deserting, he doesn't want to fight, then why is he trying to... All that, right? And so, right out of the gate, this show is starting off with nonsense. The show does not understand the message or narrative that it is trying to convey. Are the orcs just going to be innocent? They don't want war or anything like that, or are they bloodthirsty maniacs? They're going to kill any random elf on sight. Doesn't even know. And luckily, he finds a map. Just convenient plot device map right there. And look at that. That looks like Eregion. That looks like a city and the river in front and a deserting orc. He's definitely, he is a deserting orc with no intention of going back to that army, is going to take with him the map that's going to lead him back to that army. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's the intro. We're back to Celebrimbor here, and he is having trouble making the rings. The rings of men. Why? Not explained. Seems like nothing changed in the process apart from they're trying harder, right? But for some reason, these rings, they're just not being made. Now it shows actually like a pile of all these discarded, rings that just won't work. And so they show it. We'll see. I think he throws it away. Now, as we're looking for the pile of rings, it reminded me, and I think I mentioned this in the first episode or second episode. There's the pile of rings. Just for an Elven city, they got rat problems, mice problems. Anyway, so it reminded me again that they shouldn't even be able to make any of the Dwarven rings or rings for men because they don't have pure gold or silver from Valinor, which is the very thing they said they needed to bond mithril to the metals. I remember in season 1, they were having, they just couldn't bond the mithril to the metal. And this is the big brain thing of discovering alloys. For the master smith discovered alloys from the suggestion of Halbrand. Okay. And then they had Galadriel's dagger that she carried with her throughout a whole season. And I was just lucky she had that with her because that was from Valinor and it was pure gold and silver, and they were able to make the elven rings. Where are they getting the pure gold and silver for the dwarven rings and the rings for men? That is literally the plot point from season 1 that enabled mithril to bond to the metals. They're just going to forget about that. That's an inconvenient plot point now. Just sweep that under the rug. That is such a massive sign of top tier amateur level writing, where they have a plot point where it was convenient and they spent a lot of time foreshadowing it, right? She carried that dagger with her the entire season. And then they're just going to pretend it doesn't exist now because they don't have the talent to address that, right? Because they've written themselves into a bit of a corner here. It's like, they need to make more rings. Where are they going to get pure gold and silver from Valinor? Maybe we'll get a shipment from it. But hang on, if you get a shipment, why didn't you do it? That wouldn't have been a problem last season. They established last season they basically can't get that type of gold and silver from the elven lands, hence why it was so important Galadriel had the dagger. Now the thing is though, it actually isn't that hard to simply concoct a valid enough reason, right? And you could even use it as a source of conflict, okay? An actual intriguing plot point of getting pure gold and silver, more specifically finding out a means to purify gold and silver, and they could have a larger kind of story woven around that, or they could just address it really simply. Sauron tells them if Sauron knows of a way to purify gold and silver, he would have known season 1 and it would have been a problem. They wouldn't need the dagger. So having Sauron give the answer would make a bigger plot hole. So that's the things you need to pay attention to. But they could work together and find out a way to purify gold and silver where they are without needing to get it from Valinor. But instead of doing due diligence, that's a competent writer would do, they're just going to ignore it. And now, for an unspecified reason, they just can't make the rings for men. They're just difficult. Hey, good to see you. We are Harbinger for $2. Damn, I'm late. How much cringe did I miss? We're pretty much at the beginning, though the opening did have a pretty big whopper of contradiction. And of course, there was the whole broader overview thoughts. So you did miss around 25 minutes. But still, it's good to have you. Good to see you here, mate. And thank you for the super chat as well. So that's the issue at the moment. And also, they've run out of mithril now. He's like, we need to make more. And she's like, there's no more mithril, my lord. I was like, can't extract it from all the failed attempts. There was a decent amount of like mithril that's in that material now. Could you like melt it down and try and get it to separate or something like that? Or could you just reuse it if it has mithril? And anyway, they get to ignore that. All that mithril is just wasted. And so, excuse me. All righty. There's no more mithril. All righty. Oh, I see in chat. All right. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, chat. In terms of having mods in the chat, I agree. I think it would be good to have some mods. In actual fact, I would only give someone a mod tool if they've been a regular and they seem pretty good. Like We Are Harbinger. Let me know in the chat if you want a spanner to do some moderating the chat, because you've been around. Also, if Buddy Rabbit is there, happy to do that for some of the regulars. So yeah, let me know and let us keep moving forward. I'll try and keep an eye on things as well. Alrighty, so they continue chatting on about mithril. It's an issue. Where are we going to get it? And he forgets her name because they're trying to show that he is losing the plot a bit. Okay. And I actually think that I think they're showing his kind of corruption and influence under Sauron's control well enough. They show some progression. The issue is, though, is that, oh, look at that. We are Harbinger for $2 says, I will not let evil corrupt me if you choose me, sir. And he even says it as a super chat. Good on you, mate. Appreciate you. I think I need to do that in the direct. So let me see if I can mod you. What? All right. There you go, Ria Harbinger. You are a standard moderator. Appreciate your service, mate. Because I appreciate the guys that come back and, you become mates, become a regular person joining the stream. Alrighty, so they show Sauron having some of his powers. He actually uses some of his magic in this episode. Now, here's the thing. Magic systems, okay? People sometimes have a bit of a misunderstanding between soft magic systems and hard magic systems. And they think soft magic systems are magic systems without rules, or rules that are undefined. And a hard magic system is a magic system with very defined rules. And I've made a video on Shadiversity. It's an older one, but still a good one. Okay. We are Harbinger says the question is, what does a mod do? Oh, I trust you, mate. I'm sure you can figure it out. Just don't let people spam and the regular kind of stuff to being a chat moderator. But it's good. It's been on my mind. I've needed a couple of chat moderators now, especially now that I've been doing some more regular live streams. And so get rid of the spam, get rid of the trolls, the standard stuff. Up. You serve us well. It is a high honor. It doesn't mean it can't be revoked, though. So use your power wisely. That's right. He says he will stay on watch. Okay, so soft magic systems and hard magic systems. As I said, it's a misunderstanding to think soft magic systems don't have rules. No. As soon as you show the magic doing anything, you've established a rule, whether you like it or not. The rule is X magic can do X. That magic can perform this thing. That means if that character gets in a situation in the future, the audience is going to have a question. Why can he do that thing again? If it's useful and would help him out in that situation, why doesn't he do it? You've already shown the audience that they're able to do that stuff. And so it's really important for the writers to understand, okay, how often can he do it? Is there a reason why he was able to do it then versus something stopping them later on? Is it a one-time thing? These are all really important questions, and they need to be sorted out even in a soft magic system. The actual definition between a soft magic system and a hard magic system, okay, is a soft magic system can be less defined in what it does, all right, in terms you don't explain everything and it's capable of doing a lot of different things. Whereas a hard magic system can be more limited and more defined rules. The thing is, though, you will be educating the audience and establishing certain rules, even in a soft magic system, okay, whether you like it or not. A good example, honestly, is a magic system in the Wheel of Time. I would consider that a more soft magic system, but it has some really good defined rules still. And so people might say, no, it's a hard magic system. I would call it soft in the sense that it's capable of doing many, many things. Harry Potter as well, I would consider a more soft type magic system where the magic doesn't really seem to have any limitations apart from the knowledge of the user. Okay. The user is the limiting factor in what the magic can do based on the spells that they know. But they could essentially learn what? Is there any type of spell in Harry Potter that logically could not exist in the magic system? Not really. I think the writer has the leeway to just say Harry Potter magic system can really do anything that the spell they make up can do. And it can work in a story. You might think, well, is that an issue because the magic is like limitless? Is it Deus Ex Machina? Just do whatever the writer wants at a given time. And it can be used really well in a story by simply limiting it by the knowledge of the magic users themselves. And that's been done to great effect in Wheel of Time and Harry Potter. And that's what I propose as the more accurate type of soft magic system. Ones that don't really have that many limitations. It can't do anything. Okay, and it's undefined in that sense. Whereas a hard magic system has some really strict, limitations and parameters around what it is capable of doing. Okay, again, with Harry Potter, is there any kind of spell that, the writer couldn't just say the magic can suddenly do? Because the magic system isn't actually defined in that way. Whereas with a hard magic system, you can look at Mistborn from Brandon Sanderson, my own novel, Shadow of the Conqueror, and a good example, even better that people will be familiar with, Star Wars. Well, actually, it's a good and bad example because Star Wars used to be very defined and limited in what it could do, meaning the Force. But now they've lost the plot. Disney Star Wars doesn't understand these literary rules for, writing fantasy. And if you want to see some great rules, check out Brandon Sanderson's Laws of Magic. Phenomenal, springboard to understanding these things. But they're actually more general rules for writing because it should apply for technology and many other things. As soon as you have like a type of mechanism or concept, whether it's magical technology or just magic generally, right? These rules need to be understood because when you show it doing something, the technology doing something or magic doing something, it establishes the baseline, the standard, that magic could do that. That's a rule whether they like it or not. And so to say soft magic systems don't have rules, I disagree. And then if they say, well, stuff it, I'm going to contradict the rules anyway, that just creates a plot hole. It's not a function of the magic to say a magic can do something now and then suddenly it can't, but you don't explain it and it just looks like the character forgot that they can do the magic. Okay, that's a plot hole. That's not a mechanism of the magic system unless you actually explain it. See, these things do need explanations. And so Star Wars once had a very defined type of use. That was basically telekinesis with limited telepathy. You could sense feelings and stuff like that. And it worked really well in the original trilogy. It was self-contained. And anyone saying that, oh, you can use the Force to heal in the original trilogy, be like, that's not how the Force works. But then Disney just jumped the shark, and now the Force is just whatever friggin' magic bullcrap Disney wants to pull out of their ass because they don't understand the rules and they've ruined it. Once upon a time, it's a great example of a hard magic system. Okay, so in Lord of the Rings, what we're seeing here, it is mostly, and probably one of the more famous examples of a soft magic system where you don't really know its limitations of what the magic is able to do. Gandalf could suddenly pull out, a spell or something like that. But to do it well, it needs to be consistent. All right. And Gandalf had a really important limiting thing in the Lord of the Rings trilogy in that he actually wasn't really allowed to use much of his magic. Okay. He wasn't there to save the world, even though it's contradicted, funnily enough, in Rings of Power, where they say he's there to basically save the world. Okay. Gandalf was more there to guide the peoples of Middle-earth to save themselves. And so, as a result, Gandalf had a more soft magic system in terms of this, like, you didn't really know what he could do, okay? But as soon as you show it doing something, you establish, oh, he can do that. And so, a really good example of a hard magic system in Lord of the Rings is the One Ring. You put it on, you go invisible. That's mechanism. It won't turn you invisible if you're holding it. It has to be around your finger. That's actually a really good defined rule and mechanism that the audience will understand. And then you can utilize that in certain payoffs and plot points, okay, to utilize it in the story. So we're about to see Sauron do two things. Well, he does something very soon in the scene. And later in the episode, he does something really big. I get the, my impression is based on the quality of writers here, right? They're going to completely forget that Sauron is capable of doing this type of stuff. And he'll never use it again or use it in useful things. Because they're approaching the magic like an amateur writer, whereas like, you can just do whatever we want. It's magic. You don't need to think. It's like, no. Audiences don't actually need to think about to just see someone do something and it's like, oh, that it's like seeing someone pick up something really heavy. You don't need to think like and say that guy's really strong. You just know by seeing he's a strong person, and so you set a power level without even consciously doing it often. And they are so bad with power levels in the show because Galadriel is insanely powerful, taking on an army of orcs until the very moment when it's not convenient in the plot, and suddenly she gets defeated by a chain wrapping around her head or something like that. And so because they're so inconsistent with power levels, guarantee they're going to be horribly inconsistent with Sauron. We got a super chat for $20 from Willa Yamuna. I'm bad at pronouncing this. As important as pointing the bad media, it would be pointing... Sorry. As important as pointing the bad media, it would be pointing the good media. I'd really enjoy a curated list separated by genre of good movies, series, animes, books, etc. Could be a new series of videos or a website. It's an interesting idea. I do have a playlist on Night's Watch of stuff that we've reviewed that we like and we think is actually good. And so there is a playlist right there. And recently, we've had House of the Dragon Season 2, which I did really enjoy. Sarah Gould for $2 says, has Rings of Power discovered the Misty Mountains yet? I'm assuming they know where they are, but it hasn't appeared in the show to my knowledge. But still, thank you for the super chat. Piston for $2 says, Harry magic can do anything that J.K. Rowling says. Exactly. That's my point. That's what actually makes it a soft magic system. That's the more specific and accurate definition of a soft magic system in my mind. A magic that's not really, got limitations and not defined in that way, and it can kind of do anything. There can be limitations, well, the person can do, like based on their knowledge, but that's generally what a soft magic system is in my mind. And we have Carmen Ryder KFP for member for 17 months. Thank you very much for the continued support as a member. The things they set up in Not Gandalf's part this episode is the greatest desecration to the spirit of Tolkien work so far. They're basically setting Gandalf up to, not Gandalf, to, he's supposed to save the world. And it's like, I thought he was specifically sent to Middle-earth with a limitation on his powers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lore Masters, but yeah, it seems like they have just lost the plot with Gandalf. And so, Celebrimbor's sitting here, right? Now, pay attention to this scene. Do you see anything there? Right here. Do you see right there? Right there, on this little shell tray thing. There is nothing there, okay? And he says, he's missing it. He's lost his hammer. And Sauron does this kind of like, you mean that hammer? Wink, wink. And he turns, and it just has materialized right on top of that thing. That's him starting to use his magic. It's like, oh, hang on. This means a number of things. Sauron can either make things disappear with illusion magic, which I think might be what it is, or actually materialize objects out of the ether or teleport them. Now, yeah, right. But it is funny. The thing is that this is him using his magic. This is the show saying, Sauron's magical. Okay. But are they going to be consistent with it? Now, in terms of it just appearing from nowhere, I think he gets to the Dwarven city so quickly that can he teleport? Because that's the weird thing. I'm not giving that the excuse of the magic, because people will be doing that who aren't magical and just like appearing in locations way too quickly with no sense of a passage of time at all. It actually feels like he gets to, is it Khazad-dûm, the Dwarven city, and back within a day. It feels like, again, this show is horrendous at depicting the passage of time. It feels like it's all happening in the same day. But there we go. Sauron can do this. Will he use it consistently? Yeah, I have no confidence in the writers being able to be consistent with that, because they haven't been consistent with power levels throughout the entire show so far. Yeah, that's exactly right, chat. All of them can teleport. I wonder if all of them will start pulling out, magic from their rear ends. So anyway, that Celebrimbor's starting to lose his head and is under the manipulation of Sauron. The thing is, though, there is a big issue. If they're trying to say Sauron's, illusion magic can only affect people that he has influence over by being in their proximity for a certain amount of time, because they say, those who have been Sauron or are under his influence. That is contradicted by a pretty big illusion thing he does towards the end of the episode. Charles Sapp for $5 says, Isildur's sister goes to college. Then she turns against how she was raised, the government, and likes a wussy man. Are they saying that college is bad? College corrupted her? I wouldn't say intentionally, but you could have that reading into it. So it's his main priority to make the rings. And so Sauron walks out and he lies to everyone and says, I am the one in control now. Celebrimbor's given me full control of the city. He is focusing on the rings. And so this one, right? Then this lady here is like, well, we've got a problem. This one made me just like spit almost. It was just like, are you kidding me? Celebrimbor's the lord of this city. He's the ruler. Okay. And I could perhaps understand if there's a random messenger not allowed to see him because he's so engaged in his work and they're just like, you just got to wait, right? Compare that to this. One of their scouts has come back dead and completely carved up. They have a message literally carved into his flesh. And no one thought to raise the alarm and say, holy crap, that's a problem. Like, this guy arrives and they're just like, Celebrimbor doesn't need to know about this right away. This isn't an urgent issue. He can wait. It's like, are you serious? If this guy comes back, the city would be put on red alert. You would be like racing to the Lord of the City saying, dude, we got a problem. But the show's just like, yeah, he's been lying around. Wait, they didn't tell anyone else. Sauron actually says, don't tell anyone else, implying that he's the first person they've mentioned this to, even though he's lying out in the open. People are walking past and just like, no one else knows. Everyone saw him. This show is retarded, man. Gosh. It is so dumb. Lilu for $2 says, turn Sauron into a conjurer of cheap tricks. Well, that first one was kind of a cheap trick. He does something pretty big in terms of illusion magic later on. Yet nothing made sense in this episode. Dry rub that brisket. I know. This is so bonkers. And let's see if we can get the line where he's like, don't tell anyone else.
Bury him.
Okay, so you bury him. Ominous music.
Show this to no one.
Show this to no. He's out in the open. It's just off the side where this big open, like city center, whatever marketplace area is. People walking past, no one bothering to cover him. Show this to no one. Everyone's already saw him, you retard. This show is so dumb. Oh, was anyone on set when that line came up? They're like, hundreds of people would have seen him already. Gosh. We are harboring up for $2 says, elves, immortal, wisest, and fairest of all beings. Yeah, they're really wise. Everyone is like, has had a stroke. Their brains aren't working like in the show. All the characters are just not even working on half a brain cell. Yeah, like comedy gold if it wasn't just so painful. Modern media. This is the level of intelligence we're dealing with, right? I saw nothing, I promise. Yeah, just put a wig on it. He'll be fine. No one to recognize him. Oh, Chad, I love you guys. You're great. And they wanting to depict Sauron as this intelligent, manipulator. And they have this clown nonsense happening on screen. Oh my gosh. So then, all right, Sauron's like, man, I wonder what stopped them. And sure, if you send a scouting party out, and no one comes back except a guy with a message carved into his chest, that would kind of clue you off that there's obviously some bad guys near the city. No one makes that connect. No one even thinks of that. And remember, the army is just over the hill. And the funniest part and worst part of this is the show shows you how close the army is here. And no one else in this entire city notices it or even picks up on the fact that a guy coming back with a carved message on his chest might be a bit of a red flag. Friggin' hell. And so he walks off, right? And he looks into the distance. As they showed it already. I need to get rid of the music. Okay. So I need to go back. So he looks off. Okay. And this is where they smoke. Just to this hill here. So this establishes the distance and scale we're dealing with. Take a close look, right? That's the hill. And see those little dark things here, and here? That's the smoke. Dum, dum, dum. You can see it, right? That literally is the hill, all right, where the massive orc army is that they reveal at the end of the episode. Just this tiny little hill here. And Sauron isn't even on the highest kind of lookout point of the city. If someone's just, in one of the big towers and looks out, they would see the friggin' army. You can't hide that thing. And by the way, with the size of the army that they show, way more smoke than just those things. But even that would be a massive, hint, warning of what's going on. Carmen Raider KFP $5 says, and no one there questions why he was able to read the black speech of the enemy. Good question, because that message is probably written in the black speech of the bad guys, right? Nick Filoni for $5 says, why wouldn't an elvish city not have a more established succession plan than the leader just picks random person that just walked out of a fireplace? Yeah, I mean, that you're right. That is a really weird and suspect too. They didn't even hear that from Celebrimbor. It was just Sauron saying, oh yeah, the leader who's up in the tower working really hard has said that I am going to rule the entire city while he's busy, right? Wouldn't that need like an official decree? Hear it from the man's mouth. If this random guy that no one knows just appears in the city, been really working really closely with him, just says, oh yeah, now I'm the ruler, just on his own word. Everyone's just like, yes, sir. I take your word for it. So good super chat, Nick Filoni. Thank you for pointing it out. And thank you for the super chat. 100%. You're absolutely right. No, Shad. That's the hill they shall die on. Right. Gosh. But here they literally show that anyone looking out over that hill could see that there's something there. Maybe we should be on alert. But no, when they finally attack at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, how could this happen? How we are so surprised someone is attacking us. Where did they come from? There were no warning signs of this at all. This show, man. Oh, I can't get over it. We are Heartbreaking $5 says, Elven sentries. What do you Elven? You're right. Elven eyes should be able to see further and more detail. Elven eyes see nothing. I'm going to smoke in the distance. This series makes Legolas seem like elf Jesus. Oh my gosh, man. So that was worth a laugh, but it's so stupid. All right. Then we get Galadriel talking with Adar. And Adar's having a bit of a feast here. There's actually some decent food that they show. He's got like raspberries and everything. He's not like eating like an orc. Like, that actually looks like a decent meal. Grapes, raspberries, cooked onions and roasts and stuff. But Galadriel's like, I shall have none of it. And he's basically wanting to get her to join his side to defeat Sauron, because it is bonkers. They're basically trying to show Adar as the good guy in this episode. He's just after and the whole series have been trying to make Adar look sympathetic, where I'm just trying to protect my children. He did like slaughter an entire nation's worth of people in the Southlands and destroy their homeland and depop. But I don't know. Trust us. He's the sympathetic guys. The orcs just want a home to live in, right? They don't mention that. Charles Sapp $5 says, see you later, Shad. Got to go to work. Dude, have a good day at work. Can you recommend some good, clean fantasy books like Narnia and Lord of the Rings? I don't want any R-rated content. Well, Brandon Sanderson is a good source for really good, clean fantasy. Check out Mistborn, top tier, and really clean. Good stuff. So there's a comment, right? Where like she basically kind of says, you know, because they're saying we have both been under the influence of Sauron, and she's like, well, I resisted him and you didn't, to Adar. I was like, Adar stabbed him in the back. I would say that's kind of resisting the influence of Sauron, wouldn't you say? This show just can't even keep anything straight. Contradicts itself all the bloody time. So then he goes, look, let's skip forward because there's a lot of this chatting about, you know, that who's resisting Sauron, who's not. And they drag it out way too much. And he eventually grabs, the crown. It's pretty dark. You can't see it. Let's clear it up. But he's holding a crown. See that's the crown he stabbed Sauron with. Now, I like going off what the show indicated to us when this happened at episode 1 of season 2. That was just Sauron's crown. No. Well, that's what it seemed like in episode 1. No. This is Morgoth's crown. And there is a bit of a contradiction where Galadriel recognizes it instantly as Morgoth's crown, but then they said that it was reforged to fit Sauron's head. And so it's like, how can she recognize if it's been completely reforged? But anyway, so they're trying to say, because this is Morgoth's helmet or hat or you know, his crown, it has some evil magic. And that is the reason why Sauron was incapacitated when he got stabbed in the back. And I'm thinking, did Morgoth do that intentionally? Like, I'm going to make a helmet that is going to be able to incapacitate angelic beings and never use it. Like what? What is the function of this stupid thing? Undefined. They don't care. It's like, it can kill Sauron if you stab him with it. And they literally, that's a plot point. They say, we can use this helmet, this crown, and Galadriel's ring. And Adar's like, we can definitely kill Sauron with these two things put together. Carbon Rider for current KFP for $5 says, Adar stabs Sauron in the back. It is now completely Galadriel's fault. Sauron is rising to power. Yes, 100% you're right. Who really resisted him here? That's what I mean. Exactly. So the line in the show is completely contradictory. They can't even keep anything straight. And they're desperate to try and make out Galadriel as this tough girl boss when she's awful. She's the reason Sauron is evil. I hate her character so much, right? And so they are actually setting up a plot point that this hat, this crown, is going to be the means to defeat Sauron with Galadriel's ring together. And I'm like, this is really dumb. That is a really dumb function of a crown. If they knew that it could be used as well, when they reforge it, why not just reforge it as a sword? But anyway, no, it is a magical bullcrap device because it's spiky that can suddenly kill angelic beings. Like Morgoth, if you're going to make an item object that can kill angelic, make a weapon. Not what's his intention? No. I made a crown so I can ram people like a bull. I got the spikes. It's a special move, right? That was Morgoth's strategy for making the crown. It is so dumb. All right, so then they keep chatting. So they cover some of the conversation I've already talked about, resisting and reforging. But honestly, then Adar starts to talk in such a way that he's trying to save Eregion from Sauron. And it's like, get stuffed. No. You're not, don't try and make out these evil, bloodthirsty orcs as just the good guys, as Adar is the good guy. Get stuffed. And they might, it's just there to manipulate Galadriel. How dumb would Galadriel have to be to not see through this? Okay. She actually not only entertains it, she ends up agreeing with him and only backtracks at the end of the episode. She unironically decides to side with him. This guy that just wiped out the Southlands wholesale. How many innocents just butchered and murdered? And that's the guy that Galadriel's like, yeah, I'll side. But the show wants you to forget about this, right? The show is actually trying to play off Adar as, I'm just trying to kill Sauron. And after we do that, we're going to go home. Eregion doesn't need to worry about us. Nonsense stuff. Okay. And the show is just completely forgetting what they have shown this character do. Kamen Raider KFP for $5 again says, maybe the MacGuffin this time will do more than just open the spillway of a dam. Maybe. Like, in the trailers for season 2, there is there's just a shot of Galadriel fighting Sauron, and she's holding the crown while she's fighting him. So she actually, from the trailer, she's going to be using it as like a side weapon to try and stab him. A crown. Like, that's such a cool weapon. Let's make a hat the weapon that's going to kill the bad guy. Gosh. Yeah, she can fix Adar, right? They're going to try and ship him and Adar together. I wouldn't put it past this show. Oh, this is where we're at. Now, in terms of MacGuffin, my overly particular, specific, rightly mind, I have to apologize for being so pedantic, but, I got it. Technically, a MacGuffin is something that actually doesn't do anything in the plot. The more technical definition, I know in casual language, MacGuffin has become to be used as just an object in the world that is a plot device. So, but the more strict and traditional literary definition of a MacGuffin is something that causes the characters to act or do something or pursue it, but actually does nothing in the plot and really doesn't even appear in the plot. Classic examples of literary MacGuffins is the Holy Grail in the Arthur story. It doesn't appear really in the story, but it's the primary motivating plot device that moves the story forward, but it's not technically in the story. Another great one is the object inside the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. You don't know what it is. It doesn't do anything, but it's the thing people are pursuing and it drives the plot forward. And so that's the more technical definition of a MacGuffin. But because, say, the crown does something and it is existing in the thing and it it has defined rules and stuff, it's an object plot device. Same with the One Ring and the Infinity Stones. The traditional definition of MacGuffin, the Infinity Stones and One Ring aren't actually MacGuffins. UP Shoot for $5 says, do you think Galadriel lied to us when she called elves wise in Lord of the Rings prologue? This Galadriel lies all the time. How can we believe her Sauron actually wanted to enslave the world? Sauron's, what has he done that's well, he's starting to murder people. That's pretty bad. But he didn't want to go do any of this. It was Galadriel that made him do it, convinced him to do it all. Counts the Rings for 50 DKK says, this episode finally broke me. I'll make one last review, but that's it, dude. I know the feeling. Congratulations on getting this far. But yeah, this show is made to break the spirit of those who love true Lord of the Rings, the real Lord of the Rings. And so then we go to Numenor. Back to Numenor. I'll just make sure I cover all things. So nothing really important. Remember how Elendil was, got the scuff last episode. Now is on trial, and they basically admit to your crime, swear loyalty to the king, and we'll let you go free. If not, we'll execute you. And there was actually some decent acting from the guy who plays Elendil here. The pity that is given such just slop to work with. But he stands on principle. In fact, Elendil comes off a little bit stronger in this episode because he doesn't, give in. And he keeps his honor. And it's like, you might have had a good character there if you didn't make Numenor this piece of crap nation that I just let them sink into the sea at this point. I do not care. The queen is so loyal to is incompetent and useless. And weak. My gosh, is she so weak? Morally weak, okay? And so he will not, swear fealty to the king, and he would rather die, essentially. But the daughter's there. And look, I think, he does a decent job acting this.
To the end of our days. Miriel!
See, that's a good delivery. And when you see an actor being able to deliver something decent like this, I just feel sorry for him. I'm like, this show doesn't deserve you, man. And there is also actually a really good delivery from Durin the Younger in this episode. And again, the show does not deserve him. They are too good for the slot that they have to, be in and say. It's a good delivery here. And so I was like, I swear fealty. And I think for some people that, just are happy to kind of turn their brains off and just watch stuff like that, they would get enjoyment out of this scene because the actor is carrying it, even though what's actually happening is built on nonsense. The events that brought him into this thing, remember, was cartoonish bullcrap. Go check out the previous review. And so you're not invested, even when the actor is doing their best to try and give the delivery. And yeah, I agree. Elendil's daughter is insufferable. She's awful in this. And so he calls the king a traitor. He's like, well, you're going to die. She doesn't want to. And they're like, we can, it's this old ritual where you can put your fate in the hands of the Valar, and the Kraken will decide your fate. If you're innocent, the Kraken thing, sea monster, beast won't eat you. And they think it's just going to be a death sentence anyway. And so they do that as like a this will appease the daughter who doesn't want to, and there are people also who don't want to see Elendil die. And so anyway, that's that scene. And look who we're back with. Gandalf. Chat, that's all fan fiction. Yeah. Like, it's like a kraken. It's a sea monster. It's this sea monster something. So we're back with not Gandalf and very, very not Tom Bombadil, because the Bombadil in this is just so serious, and it is. I could not look at that guy and think Tom Bombadil at all. And they do have, like, it's just them basically talking about, oh, I need my powers because I need to save the world. But paying attention, the conversation doesn't follow a logical through line. He mentions, so not Gandalf mentions that he had a vision of Nori, and Tom Bombadil's, oh yeah, vision, right? And then he basically like completely sidetracked the conversation and says, I need to use this power to save the world. It's like, what, the visions? I know it's talking about just the magic generally, but the previous sentence was talking about the visions you had. And it's like he had a stroke, forgot the conversation he's having, and just starts on a completely different topic about the magic. So the dialogue and many of the conversations like this actually do this a lot, where they don't have a logical follow through, and the characters end up speaking about another topic randomly, because that's what the writers want the audience to hear. And then Bombadil is like, well, let's go get you your magic, basically. And there's that scene. Now, I got to turn the volume off, because it's like, follow old Tom and he's going to show you how to get the magic. But there's going to be an ad play, so I need to let the ad play out on Amazon. At least they give you a warning. So now ad's playing. So I let that play through. But it's funny that I don't know why, but Prime literally tells you where. Oh, see, there's like blip in the timeline. That's going to be an ad playing. So they give you a warning. So I'm sparing you from it. It's not even KFC this time. They're just trying to shill another one of their shows. So the first ad's done. We'll get back to it. But now they're going to do another show. But anyway, how it going, chat? Having fun? You help me get through this. Tom Bombadil. Oh, this isn't Tom Bombadil. This isn't Tom. And he's playing such a weird, like, it's like they don't really know what to do with Discount Gandalf at this point. Same with Numenor, by the way, where the plot, it should be about the Rings of Power, the rise of Sauron, all this bad stuff happening. But because Gandalf and they just forced in those hobbits, they had to have the hobbits in, they're not even close to what's going on. So they're completely disconnected. And so now we have these disconnected subplots that aren't even affecting really the serious stuff that's happening about Sauron and the rings. And they're just like, well, we need to do something with these characters because we've introduced them. And so we've got to force a story. And we're just, Tom Bombadil. Gandalf needs to find his stick. That's the plot. Real engaging. And so they seem tacked on. And so we're back with Nori, whatever it is. And so remember, the forced plot here, because they're so creatively bankrupt, the creators of this show, that they don't know how to weave it into the main plot. Remember, they're foreshadowing the birth of the Shire. And they also steal classic lines. They've done this so many times. Gary, Nerdrotic Gary, has mentioned this a lot in his reviews, the lines that they're stealing. And some were just like a slap in the face. I want to make sure we haven't skipped over them. So orcs want to save Eregion. We covered that. Tom Bombadil is not Tom. I have a note saying, let Numenor sink into the ocean, because I'm just so sick of him. Again, it's a disconnected plot that you're not invested in. In the first season, at least they tried to have Numenor have some relevance to the Rings of Power and the central plot, right? Now, they're completely separate. But they're like, oh, we got to do something with them. We got it. What we shall do? Elendil is going to be thrown to a sea monster. Okay. All right. We haven't skipped over. I don't think we have skipped over the lines where they steal from better written, Lord of the Rings. Carmen Ryder, KFP, for $20 says, the secret fire is the very power that Eru Ilúvatar used to create the world and all life within. And Carmen Ryder's talking about the previous scene. Not Gandalf and not Tom Bombadil. We're talking about the secret fire and how to use it. Okay. And so Carmen Ryder, thank you very much. He's going to share some lore with us. So that's what the secret fire is. It's the very power of Eru Ilúvatar. And they have reduced that power, that Holy Spirit, to just a force that grants magic visions and can be mastered by others. It very much seems like that's what they're doing. They've whittled it down to just, it's a magic, and we're going to use it. So it does seem like they're misappropriating this concept, the sacred fire, what it is. Thank you very much for sharing that, Carmen Ryder. We are Harbinger for $2 says the sea is always right. Yeah, let it sink. I laugh because that line comes back in the episode. They say it, and I was like, I thought they were going to try and ignore it because it was so bad. It's just peak cringe. And like the very concept of this, chant, the Numenorians say the sea is always right, is such retarded stupidity. Because of course that's not true, right? And so a nation that's built around that concept is nonsense. But the show, so I was like, I was wondering if they latched onto how ridiculous it was. I was like, we're just going to ignore that. That's something I would say you would want to ignore from season one, because they're ignoring a lot of stuff from season one that is contradicting stuff now. It established the events of what's happening, and then they contradict it, and it's like, oh, ignore that. It's like, no, that was the plot. But then there are things that's like, yeah, you would want to ignore this, but they don't. They bring it back. They bring back the sea is always right. So yes, they were talking about the sacred fire. Now they're talking about, like, again, foreshadowing. So this is back to Nori, foreshadowing the Shire. And Nori is being told why sometimes it's good to stay in one place, because that's a concept the Harfoots are just, their brains are so backwards and undeveloped. They can't understand the concept that, hey, if you stay in the one place, you can plant crops, sow seeds, okay? Build up like a more comfortable place to live, a home, a place of security, right? That's beyond their understanding. Kevin for $2 says, follow your nose to the staff, Gandalf. I wouldn't be surprised if they said would do a line like that in this. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin. So Nori being told about planting trees and other things. This is big brain stuff. This is the thing, you come to the Rings of Power. This is what you wanted to see. No, it's boring. And then, the thing that they Rings of Power, this is what you really want to see, right? Like the writers were just like, I know what that'll be great. Let's have a forced love romance between Poppy and this numbskull moron half-foot hobbit guy thing. Like, they actually have this guy acting like a pretty big idiot. Like, oh my gosh. Right? So he's an annoying idiot character, but you're going to be invested in this guy. In fact, so invested, you want to see a love story between him and Poppy. And when I say love story, that's giving it too much credit, because they've barely talked to each other, right? And he mentions that his parents were so dumb they couldn't name him for most of his life, and that's why he's called Nobody, because he hasn't had a name for most of his life, and they only bothered to name him a year or so ago, right? You're depicting these civilizations, these peoples, as being mentally disabled. Don't tell me that these people could survive, or they could be, a viable civilization. Get stuffed. But that's what this is. They're a bunch of idiots. This guy in particular. And Poppy, she is into it. She just loves idiots, and this is what you want. This is what you want to. Yeah, you're gonna go. Oh, look at that! Look, that's what you came for. See, two annoying, awful, dirty characters. They don't even bathe and everything like that. They're so awful that Poppy even mentions that she could taste what he ate for lunch because his breath was so bad. This is gross, right? That's what you came for. Gosh, no. But they spend a decent chunk of the episode on it. Oh, Carmen right up for KFP for $5 says, if the sea is always right, why are they trying to prevent Numenor from being destroyed by the sea? 100%. Ask the queen. She sees the sea destroying him. It's always right. Do you see what I mean? How dumb that statement is? And Carmen Ryder, he knows exactly right as well. It's contradictory. No nation would ever have that as a mantra because it's how dumb it is. But the writers are they're oblivious to this. And they bring it back. Sorry, I'm just seeing some of the chat when you saw the kiss. It's like, no! What this? Like, oh no! Was he? They depict him as a pretty big idiot. Is a Poppy taking advantage of him? Because how smart is he able to give consent? That's the question. Oh, my eyes. Chat, you're hilarious. We are Heartbreaker for $5 says their mentally disabled children might kill the species if we're lucky. Might be why there are no more diverse hobbits in the future. Oof. If you know, you know. This is a phenomenal show, guys. This really is, isn't it? No, it's not. I can't even say that with a straight face. And now, so Nori is basically saying they're going to come, those bad guys are going to come and kill everyone. So I probably have to go and face them myself. Going to do the noble sacrifice. And I was like, let the Halfwoods, hobbits, these have been shown to be psychopathic, awful race, right? Happy to kill people, leave them for dead at a whim. Yeah, let these guys come in and wipe them out. Back to not Bombadil and not Gandalf. And basically, he needs to get a stick. And the stick is going to be in this dead forest full of sticks. Piston for $2 says, Platon described the Halfwoods as evolutionary deadhead. Oh, Platoon? Is that what you say? Platoon described it? Yeah. I love Little Platoon. Great stuff. Makes great videos. So, look, this is a short scene, but even in a short scene, the writers are just so good. They're just so talented. They can't help but have a contradiction even in tiny little scenes like this. Okay. And let me just make sure, because, all right, so find, okay, that's right. Bombadil tells not Gandalf that he will find the staff if his heart is attuned or good or something to the secret fire. Let's see if we can come up to the line. Okay, here it is. You'll find your true staff only when the vision of your heart. You'll find the true staff only when the vision of your heart is single to the service of the secret fire. So that's the rule. Remember how I said that before, that like when it comes to magic stuff like that, they're going to be establishing rules whether they like it or not. That's a rule that they establish. But Bombadil also says the evil bad wizard, he took the evil bad wizard here to the same place, and he also found a staff. But he's an evil bad wizard, which by definition, his heart would not be single and aligned in the service of the secret fire. So then he should not have been able to find his magic staff here by the rule that Bombadil establishes. But we know he did because he has a magic staff. So they can't even keep that straight. right? Unless Bombadil is literally full of it. Anyone who comes to this dead forest can just walk in and find a magic staff as easy as anything. Yeah. Not Bombadil is probably just lying. And then he goes on, like, I think this is also Bombadil. They're trying to be clever, and it's really obvious, and it's not clever if it's this obvious, right? Is Gandalf is worried because he's had a vision of Nori in danger, and he needs to go help her now. And it's like, hang on, you had that vision back at the hut. If it was so like urgent, why didn't you leave? Why did you wait this long, walk all the way over to this place with Bombadil, and only say, if you thought it was that urgent, you would have left already. So again, the show can't be consistent at all. But he says it now, and is like, if I spend all this time looking for a stick, I think Nori might die. And Bombadil steals a line. Where is it? It's like, we might, I don't know. I don't want to push you through. But Bombadil's like, many die that do not deserve it, and some, it's the line Gandalf says to Frodo. And look, I might have to force you to it. Here it is. Appropriation again. Excuse me.
Deserve death. Who are you to give it to them?
Some live that deserve death, some die that deserve. Who are you to give it to? Isn't that the line that Gandalf says to Frodo when Frodo says, like, Bilbo should have killed Gollum when he had the chance? Yeah, they have no shame. And it has such less meaning here. Where in Lord of the Rings, it was a line that was appropriate for what was actually, a bigger conflict. Yep. Just ripping it off completely. And it's not the only line that they just rip right out of something far better than the works that they have. So Gandalf has a problem. Anyway, that's that scene. And he's worried about what it'll do. So now we're back to the dwarves. And basically, they're getting lots of gold now because they're digging greedily and deeply. Durin goes to his dad and is there because Sauron's suddenly there. It's like, holy crap, Sauron. Like, you saw the smoke. There was an army right near your doorstep. He just left. And again, remember how I said it was like he teleported? How long did it take him to get here? It feels like it's instant. And it feels like he returns in the same day. But it's just there all of a sudden. And is there for mithril, but Dad King isn't going to give it to him because he thinks he can force the elves to pay more, which doesn't mean anything because Sauron returns with mithril. He got it from someone else. He asked from the king and the son. Anyway, but you just grab it from another elf. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all. Pepsi SEK for 20 SEK says, sea monster kills the unfaithful. Why spare Sauron? Good question. But was it the same sea monster? That would actually be funny. If that was the same sea monster, right? Why the hell did he spare Sauron? Good question. We'll get there. We'll come to it. But anyway, that's that scene. Durin, they're both named as Durin. So Durin the younger is like, oh, I'm glad you're not going to give the elves the mithril to make the rings. But the dad is like, nah, I will. I just want them to pay more. And Durin's like, no, my dad is getting corrupted by the ring. And then Deez is really like upset that, oh, the dad's completely gone. And she is completely convinced, right, that the Dwarven kingdom is going to be destroyed by the dad now. Oh my gosh, wait. There was another line. We need to go back. I just checked my notes. Remember how they ripped off a classic line? Durin tells his dad to take off the ring. And remember, I mentioned that these other rings are just the one ring. they are as tempting and corruptive as the One Ring itself. Listen to what they say here.
Take it off.
It's whispering like the One Ring. Gosh. And I know the Dwarven rings do have some of Sauron's influence there, but to my knowledge, they're not supposed to be as evil or as corruptive as the One Ring. But that's what they're pulling with this.
I have nothing to prove to you, boy.
And so he says no. Now, I can't remember if this was the line or if it was... Where does he say it? It might have been before. We might need to go back because you're grown.
The whole world's gone mad, I thought. But it is to us to grip it by the throat.
Gotta be careful of that copyright. We're gonna take it in stages.
Tell Narvi to double his work teams. We're expanding the dig.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up. Right. So remember how they gotta copy stuff? It's on its way.
Father, take off the ring. I will not.
Here it is.
It is mine. Belongs to me.
It is mine. It belongs to me. What does that sound like?
No.
I was just waiting for him to say, it's my precious at this point. Right? Yeah. It is blatant. Right here. They can't help themselves. And it's like, this is not how the Dwarven rings are supposed to, like, yeah, come off it. It's not the One Ring, but they've actually made him that. I reckon, by the way, there is a line there is a line of where precious comes up, but it was actually previously, but it was said by Sauron. When Sauron was like, I can give you stuff for the mithril, then I think he says, I could also give you something far more precious. Yeah, there is more precious. Like, do you want to hear it? Let's hear it.
Help build platforms, mine shafts, or perhaps
Pausing for copyright.
Khazad Dûm would prefer something more precious.
They can't help themselves, man. They cannot help themselves. Like, you remember Lord of the Rings, the movies that were way better than anything we could make? Well, we're like that. We're like Lord of the Rings. We've got that name in our title, right? Liam Dell for $20 says, I feel sorry for you always having to watch crap. Well, sometimes I get a reprieve. Sometimes there's something good. Though I watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha. So your super chat is particularly poetic, right at this point in time. So I want to recommend something actually good, a series of 7 anime movies and a half-hour special called Garden of Sinners, a total length of 9 hours and a masterpiece. I'm writing that down. Garden of Anime has done pretty good for me lately. I've been enjoying a couple of animes. Spy Family has been fun. And, you know, ones that are more commonly known, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer has been fun, stuff like that. But that one, I would check out. Yeah, I know it's not, Agatha's not a reprieve. No. Like, I was so uninterested in Agatha, I didn't even really pay attention. I could not muster the willpower to devote any brain cells to it. But I watched it. I remember some of what happened. It's kind of a blur. We are Harbringer for $5 says, hard to say what is worse, the plagiarized stuff or what they make up. I felt that neck roll about Agatha, though. That will be rough, I feel. Ooh, it is. Agatha's. The acting is some of the worst I've ever seen. It is atrocious. From the main lead, the person playing Agatha. I don't know how she got cast in. We're not here to talk about Agatha. We're talking about a whole different type of cringe. Rings of Power. So after that scene, Deez is really ticked off. Oh, by the way, Sauron saw the Balrog in the fire when they turned him down, so he knows the Balrog is going to wipe him out because of magic. It's just, I don't know what caused the Balrog to appear in the fire. If it, because if it's something that Sauron didn't know, how would he be able to summon the image? Because the Balrog appearing in it was just like a little brazier next to him. He looks over, and a flame turns into the image of the Balrog's head briefly and goes back. And it's like, if that is information he is receiving, he couldn't have caused that. So then what is it? Was it the power of the Balrog just saying, "Oi, mate, don't worry, I'm here. I'm going to destroy this place for you, mate." It's bullcrap. But they just threw it in because, it's magic, something, reasons, whatever. Yep, so we got that. Deezer is convinced that Durin, the old dad, he will destroy the kingdom. And I'm like, they think something is sus with the rings. I get that. But how do you know 100% that it's going to destroy the Dwarven kingdom? Is Deezer that ticked off that she got fired from her job because now the king can do it with the ring? And her response is like, he's going to kill everyone. It's like, there's been actually no indication of that. Every bit of objective kind of observable information you can gain is that the ring is working out pretty good. The dad wants a bit of gold. He wants more gold, but that seems like that would benefit the kingdom overall at the moment. Is digging deeper than he was willing to before. Remember, in season 1, it was the son, the younger Durin, who wanted to dig deeper, and the dad said no. And so if they're being consistent, Durin would be happy that his dad is choosing this stuff. He's agreeing with him now. But no, because the dad has got the ring and they think it's sus, even though it's doing the things that Durin wanted him to do in the first season, it is such a threat, he's going to destroy the entire Dwarven kingdom as a result. So where do they get this from? Every observable thing you can get, the ring has been really good for the dwarves. It saved them from starvation. But anyway, Deez has just ticked off that she got fired, so she's like, we got to stop your dad. Nonsense. And what's annoying, right? Young Durin the younger, right? The actor does a good job. He's one of the only not insufferable characters in this show. And there's a moment where he gives an actual really good performance where they're basically saying they got to do something to stop the dad. And he doesn't want to do that because he loves his dad. And so he actually gives a banger performance of emotion here. And like, you are too good for this show, mate. You do not deserve to be in it. Let's watch it.
I still see my father.
Again, copyright.
Lost and far away, yes, but he's still in there.
I mean, this is a good delivery. It's just built on contradictory slop.
Always have you. If we do.
So there's another line he gives. That might have been the main one. But still, like, the actor does a good job. The show doesn't deserve it. It's a pity. Okay, so remember, Elendil, well, he's going to be fed to the sea monster. That's them calling him. But first, going to be the daughter saying, basically, the daughter's awful. She's like, give up on your honor and just submit. And then the queen comes in and tells him to do it. And Elendil is like, no, I'm going to keep to my, my standards and principles. And I was like, finally, we have a character that might have been someone that has admirable qualities. Galadriel is awful. She's a terrible, terrible person. But Elendil here is standing on principle and is not giving up. The daughter just wants him to swallow his pride. He won't do it. And she's like, she's awful. She's like, you betrayed me. The king said you'd do this. She's basically saying, you don't love me because you're being a good man. It's essential. It's like, gosh, she's awful. The queen comes in and she basically tells him to, like, look, lie. Don't be a good but virtuous person. In my heart, I know you know. I know you. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's what he says. In my heart, I know you're the true heir, and I can't lie. And I was like, you might have been a good character, mate. They could have done something here. And again, he's able to give some good performances. Though look, I need to remind, even though there was a good delivery by this guy, I got to point out, there was the last episode of season 1, there was a scene of him trying to cry, and it was one of the worst crying faces I've ever seen. So maybe it could be a bit hit and miss, because that could have been an error of directing as well. But he has shown some acting chops that he can deliver a good line. Yeah, great actor, dog crap script. And I think they the line comes up, the sea is always right. And is it here where they say it? I can't remember exactly, because he's going to cast himself to the, fate of the sea monster. And he just says, and the sea is always right. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like they're shipping Elendil and the Queen there as well, because they're getting very familiar with each other. Ah, there it is. Oh, they brought it back.
Always right.
The sea is always right. It's like, oh, you should have ignored it. You should have just left that one be. But no, they brought it back. Okay. Dwarves are going to go mine some more. Deez is going to stop them. And she just whips out a magical power out of her rear end. She summons bats to attack him through her singing magic song thing. Before that, just resonated with the stone, revealed where it was safe to mine. But now, oh boy, yep, there it is. She does that, and that summons a whole heap of underdark bats that she seemingly is controlling, because none of the bats attack her, right? But they all go after, right past her, and they all swarm in the other guys, and the other guys run off. And it's like, okay, so Deezer can just do magic singing now. I know, right? What the hell? What the hell is that? This show just pulls out nonsense out of the rear end. The character, all right, sure. And then Durin comes in. They're gonna make a stand. They're gonna stop. They're gonna be ready, and they're gonna be stopping the mining. And that's what they're doing. Oh boy, we'll get there. We'll get there, chat. We're getting through it. We are Harbinger for $2 says Black Girl Magic with selective targeting. Yes. It's actually that. Black Dwarf Magic. Yep. I'm laughing at that, chat. All right, yeah. So Elendil is going to cast him off. They're going to cast him into the sea. All right, so this is the scene. But the queen comes and basically is like, no. I because he did the crime in my name, the law says I get to take the punishment in his stead. And they're like, they can't argue with that. That's the law. And I would think Pharazôn would be like, hell yeah, because he doesn't believe in this, faithful stuff where the fate of the Ayla, I forget what it comes and goes, the name of the gods essentially. He doesn't believe that they will spare him. That's why he wants Elendil to go. So why is Pharazôn worried about this, because he's like, can he do it? And he's like, yeah, technically he can. And look, he's clearly reluctant. I thought he would be like, okay, yeah, I mean, she's the only, threat to my legitimacy as the king. Let her kill herself. Sure, go ahead. Right? But they can't, I don't like this show. How can someone who is so disinterested in the show like me have paid the most minimal attention to understand the motivations of these characters better than the writers themselves. Because the writer, like you've set up his motivation pretty clearly. This would be something you'd be totally keen for. You'd be totally happy for the queen to just kill herself here, but is like, oh yeah, whatever. I can't. The law says. So she jumps off into the ocean, gets pulled down, and they drag it out. She says hi to the sea kraken monster. The monster thing just like looks at her, and I don't know. Like is if it's? I wonder if this is the same one that ran into Sauron, because that would be funny. And if it is, it's just like that's what it does. It just swims up menacingly to random people under the ocean, looks at them, and just that's what he wants. He just wants an eyeful. Then he's happy. He's done. But then he seems to help her out because he just spits her out back onto the ocean, right? And they're like, "Holy crap!" And that proves she's innocent. Everyone cheers. Not only do they cheer, that is the qualifying, like legitimate, sign from whatever that means she's the queen. Everyone cheers, and they literally say, "Hail Tamriel, Queen of the Sea." And I was like, "Hang on, does that mean she's the queen now?" Like, it seems like that's what the show's. Hail Queen Miriel, Queen of the Sea. And, I was almost expecting that they would have this randomly cure her blindness. I'm still expecting her blindness is going to be healed by some bullcrap that they do. And so it'll still be bullcrap, whatever it is. I was expecting the Kraken has magic. And it was like, that healed her blindness because of the divine edict of the heavens or something. But it seems like she's still blind. And look, he's like pissed off, and it seems like this is now that the sea monster. She's the queen. That's how Numenor decides that their monarchy is just random animals in the world just hug someone. Okay, sure. And then he goes and he wants to touch the Palantir, which is, remember, that was the thing. Like, that's the elf bad thing. He's a hypocrite, evil. So sure, whatever. And then we're back to Galadriel. Oh boy, this is rough. Even going through a second time. Oy, oy, oy. So I'll make sure I'm ticking off the notes as we go, because I don't want to forget, anything. Yeah. Some of my notes are just like, I have in capitals. Now she's the queen? What? Like, what the hell is going on? All right, yeah, this is the scene where it really looks like Galadriel is happy to work with Adar and the orcs. And she even basically starts saying, we need to do this. And Adar's like, you said we. And she tells him, that Elrond is on the way. And so she also gives this potential enemy, right? This guy that would be happy to kill her, happy to kill the elves, happy to sack the city. Galadriel tells him that there's an entire army of elves on their way. Like, I just want to double check. What triggered her from betraying? She's betraying her kind, her people, her king, right here, to a guy that the king has declared war on, is sending an army to defeat Adar. When Elrond came and said Sauron's, and Adar's going, the king was like, no, we need to defeat Adar more than Sauron, it seemed like. And so the king is is serious about defeating Adar, and Galadriel is going to ally with him. She is so awful. Gosh. But I want to remember what he says to get her to, betray everyone. It's because she can fix him. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, they drag it out.
And that gives us
a momentary advantage. So he's in Eregion crafting rings that will allow him to dominate my kind.
My kind. And yours.
Every kind in Middle.
And that's right, like every kind of Middle Earth. This kind was throwing me. Is like they're actually trying to show Adar is concerned about everyone in Middle Earth. Oh, we've got to say everyone in Middle Earth. Of course he can't be, because he's an evil psychopath that wiped out the entire Southlands. Now, either the writers are that incompetent that they've forgotten how evil Adar is, and they're trying to make him sympathetic in this season, and they're just like, oh, just forget about it. Or this is Adar manipulating Galadriel, and the writers are writing her brain-dead, doorknob-licking retarded to not realize that there's no way he could be showing sympathy for all of Middle Earth when he's happy to wipe out civilizations for the sake of his orcs, right? It's one or the other. And it's both really bad.
But he will not attempt escape until his task is complete.
So Sauron will not escape Eregion, right? That's the setup. That's the logic they're going with.
Gives us momentary.
A momentary advantage. This is such stupid crap. They want the audience to think that what Galadriel is saying here is true. That Sauron will never escape under any circumstances until he has finished his work, right? Which means if they can attack the city, wipe out the city, breach its walls, Sauron will stick around, and that's how they will kill him, because they've got him cornered. And it's like, that's not true. He could leave at any moment. You have no guarantee in reality that he would stick around to his death, right? Just because he's got to make sure the rings are completed. It's like, he could manipulate somebody. He knows how to make them. He certainly knows how to make rings on his own. Okay, he makes the one ring on his own. And so this is bullcrap. Galadriel can't have this confidence or assurance that and this whole siege, they're trying to say that's why this siege is needed, the siege of Eregion, okay? Because Sauron is there. Sauron should be they haven't shown him shape-shifting, but in the lore, he should be able to shapeshift, turn into a bird or bat, just fly away. It should be really hard to hunt this guy down and corner him and force him into a fight. But that's what the show is trying to say. No. It's guaranteed he will be in a city no matter what, even if it's imminent defeat and death. We got him. That's literally what she is saying. That gives them a momentary advantage. That actually doesn't give you an advantage over Sauron necessarily. It just means if it was true, which is bullcrap, that it would be true, that he would just never leave, right? You have a window of opportunity to get him. It would still be just as hard. You don't have any greater advantage than you did before, apart from being able to know where he is, okay? But it's no guarantee you would be able to defeat him any easier.
Advantage.
And so he's like, us? That is Galadriel literally allying herself with Adar and the orcs that just committed genocide on entire people, the Southlands, right? Galadriel's willing to ally with these monsters. And she's the main character, everyone. She's the hero that the show wants you to be invested in. She's so evil, man. And it's all just to defeat, like, Sauron. Even though, Sauron... how evil is he? I know it's evil, right? But from the perspective, if you were going off of the evidence available in the show, Adar has committed more greater acts of evil and poses a greater threat to Middle-earth than Sauron at the moment. All you know is Sauron has helped make rings of power that unironically save the Elven race and the Dwarven race at this point. But Galadriel is completely convinced he's bad because he lied to her. It's amazing. Yes, so this is the scene. She just allied herself with Adar and the orcs.
Unlock me.
And so Adar unlocks her, and they're allies. They're going to do it.
As we speak.
And then this is where she betrays her entire people and her king. Whereas, like, yeah, Elrond is hastens from Lindon with an army of elves.
And hastens from Lindon with an army of elves.
Like that is such vital tactical information. Entire battles have been lost or won based on one side knowing the movements and positioning of the other army. Serious. Like the logistics and maneuvering of warfare in battles just to even get a more advantageous position, on the battlefield can sway the course of entire battles. What Galadriel just dropped then is such insane treason, right? But she's like, this is what's happening with the Elven army, the army that the king wants to send to kill Adar. We Are Harbinger $5 says, Galadriel knows because she read the script. Her continuing to work with the literal bad guys really proves the king correct. He's an idiot, but right. She's awful. He was right from the very beginning. She couldn't be trusted, but then he ends up trusting her. Yeah. Unbelievable idiot. Thank you for the super chat, Harbinger. We appreciate you. And the Blacksmith for $4.99 says, I genuinely want to know, why is anyone afraid of Sauron in this show? Adar should be telling her how all they need are a few orcs and a spike crown. 100% right. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, Sauron was embarrassingly easy to defeat, as they've shown. A couple of orcs were able to do it. And I think they're trying to say he was incapacitated by the evilness magic of the crown, which now is revealed to be Morgoth's crown. Why did Morgoth make a crown that could kill the angelic beings? Don't know. You'd think he would have made a dagger or sword or something. It was what I said. He intended to ram people like a bull. That was his secret move. You wouldn't expect that. That crown bullcrap is nonsense. Okay, back to Galadriel betraying her entire people.
And Nenya, my ring.
Why would she tell him that Elrond has one of the rings of power? Like, why? What is that needed? Oh, gosh. Mitchell Hickson, $5 says, superficial is modern writing superpower. Yeah. And so Adar later goes on to say, like, you've told me everything I need to know. Thanks.
I see.
Once he arrives, he will seal off this. Holy crap. So, I just want to remember, the shadow has not only overcome you, it has overcome.
In the end, your drive to prove your virtue will work right into Sauron's design.
Okay, so Adar then starts to think, no, is Adar actually doing an actual legitimately intelligent realization that Galadriel is awful? If I work with her, she's going to help Sauron in the end because she's that incompetent. I think that's essentially what Adar is saying. And if he is, 100%, he's right. He's totally right here.
The shadow has not...
So I want to just get the lead up. Okay, yeah. So again, this is one of the lines that is trying to depict Adar and the orcs as the victims, right? Adar's like, well, if we help you, take out Sauron, will your High King permit us to return home in peace? Because that's what they would do. The orcs, they're just so peaceful, remember? They wouldn't pillage, kill any innocents along the way. They didn't just wipe out any... And it goes back to that criticism I had at the beginning of the stream. They want their cake and eat it too. They've shown these orcs as bloodthirsty, menacing, attacking people at random. They showed Discount Legolas just walking, not being a threat, and the orc just went out and tried to murder him, right? But now they're trying to say, no, that would be peaceful. Like, so peaceful, in fact, that if the king not letting us return in peace, like, that means you are the bad guys. We're just the innocent victims. Comment writer KFP for $5 says, you'd think Morgoth would use that crown that can kill angelic beings against the army led by angelic beings that overthrew him. That would have been a good use of the crown. You're absolutely right. But they're not even going to address that. And they're just like, we need some random bullcrap plot device that can kill Sauron. We'll do that. I don't know. I know. The crown. We'll do it. It's a spiky hat. That's so silly. But thank you for the super chat. Senior Don Jessica for $1.99 says, explain why Adar thinks Sauron is alive. Sauron went to Adar and told Adar that's under the guise of being Halbrand, that he wasn't Sauron, that Sauron was alive and at Eregion. And so this is part of Sauron's big brain plan, which has not yet been fully revealed what he wants to achieve by it. But he has wanted Adar to come with the orcs to attack Eregion. So that's actually why. And it is interesting, though, because Adar does seem to have flipped a bit on his opinions. He was saying he didn't believe Halbrand, that Sauron was alive, but then he believed him enough to send the entire army there, so he kind of did. And so he basically lets Halbrand, who is Sauron, manipulate him, and now he thinks Sauron is alive. But I don't know how he got from there to thinking Halbrand was Sauron, because in one of the scenes, was it this scene or the previous scene with him and Galadriel, he tells Galadriel that Halbrand is Sauron, isn't he? I don't know how he got there. Was he just mulling it over that entire time? But if that's the case, and Galadriel confirms it, so he knows it after this conversation, right? He knows Halbrand is Sauron. Why the hell would Sauron want him to attack Eregion? Adar should not be so stupid to not ask that question. Galadriel asked that question just in a little bit. She'll say, this is what Sauron wants you to do. And Adar's like, nah, stuff that. I want to kill Sauron. But is he not going to actually make that connection? Like, it was Sauron that got you to come here in disguise as Halbrand. But this is what it's arbitrary selective stupidity that the writers inflict on the characters here, because now that's what they want to happen in the plot. So Adar, who actually is showing some level of intelligence here by realizing that, oh, Galadriel's awful and is going to end up helping Sauron, so I can't trust you, right? That's actually justified by her actions. That's smart. He's then going to be completely retarded soon and not make a connection that we're only here because of Sauron. Why did he manipulate me to come here? Because he knows Halbrand is Sauron now. This is where we're at. And so, yeah, he says this, the High King.
Will your High King permit us to return home in peace?
And that's obviously no.
Or will he proceed with his plans to invade Mordor?
Because he's the victim. They're the elves are the bad guys now. They're going to invade Mordor. Who invaded Mordor before you? You wiped out the Southland. You absolute. Like, again, he's either lying to Galadriel or the writers are so dumb that they've had him. They want to rewrite history and pretend that is not a psychopathic, genocidal, evil villain.
The shadow has not only overcome you,
but has overcome all elvendom. And so this is him saying that, the elves are the bad guys, but then he's like, this is where he's smart, and is like, and you, Galadriel, you suck. I can't trust you.
It has overcome all elvendom. In the end, your drive to prove your virtue will work right into Sauron's designs, which is like I don't know how he's intuiting it. Because I was saying that this is accurate based on her actions, yet how did he see those actions to reach that conclusion? So he is kind of reading the script that he shouldn't have access to know this. But if someone did have that knowledge, yeah, I 100%. Galadriel can't be trusted. Her desire, she is so vain that she will lie and hide the truth. Remember, she didn't want to admit that she knew who Sauron was, right? And they had to force the information out of her in, was it episode 1? And that's like crucial, dangerous information that she did not want to tell anyone. It's insane. And she seemingly only did want to do it because she was embarrassed. She's that narcissistic. Okay. And that's in line with this. What's her year? Her drive to prove her virtue will work right into Sauron's design. See, you done Justica for 199 says, and what's Adar's plan to kill Sauron? Stab harder? Yes, actually, unironically, I think that's his plan. Stab harder with the crown and use Galadriel's ring for combining them some way. How? Don't know. That's just going to be, like he says, with the ring and the spiky hat, that will definitely kill Sauron. Now, who told him? Don't know. He's just making crap up, but that's what the show is trying to tell us. Coming right out for 5 says, why would Sauron want Adar to attack Eregion while he is trying to forge the rings of power that are the key to his master plan? Bloody hell. That's exactly my question. It doesn't make sense. I think they're going to try and have a reveal in a couple of episodes, and they're going to think it's really clever. They have shown they do not have the skill to make a logical explanation for this. And so they're not going to be able to pull it off. If they do, I'll be shocked, but I'll give them credit if they do. But at the moment, no way. It's like, why would he do this? It's so like backwards and problematic to his larger plans. We Are Harbinger for $2 says, maybe they turn the hat into 3 daggers for balance. It has 3 spikes because 3 makes balance for some bullcrap reason. All right.
Your virtue will work right into Sauron's designs.
So yeah, I do question how he knows that, but it is technically correct.
You speak lies.
Oh, now she's like, as soon as he criticized her, she's like, no, it can't be true. I'm not an awful person, you liar. It's like, why don't you call him out for lying when he pretends to care for all of Elvendom and saving the people of Middle-earth, even though he wiped out an entire civilization, right? Call him a liar for caring about that. But no, now he's a liar because he's criticizing her because she's a narcissistic cow.
Hoping I will reveal something.
You have already revealed it.
I know, right? He's right. She's revealed everything to him. Really crucial information. And she was so dumb to say, you think I will reveal something? It's like, no, you've actually revealed everything, you stupid idiot. Thanks for telling me crucial technical information about the position of the Elven army and where your ring of power is, you idiot. It's like, oh, wow. They can't help but write her as so dumb. It's like the title of this stream. It's so stupid. How can it be this dumb? But it actually is. They unironically had to say, you won't have me reveal anything. You're not going to treat me. And she's already given it away.
Everything I hoped you would. Hang on.
So, look, they haven't written Adar well. He is, like I said, pulling information out of the ether. He's read the script, right? But with that information, he's made Galadriel look really dumb and manipulatable. So I like him for that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. They think that was clever. It's not clever. Characters they have knowledge that they shouldn't have. And Galadriel, like, I won't reveal anything. They've written her like a moron. Is that the writers writing what they know? And look, she knows it. She's like, oh, I got duped. How dare. It's like, you are an idiot, Galadriel. Sorry. She's just so upset about it. He didn't even have to try. Like she is that gullible and naive and dumb. Adar was just like, yeah, I want to kill Sauron too. Trust me. I mean, I did wipe out the entire civilization, but I care about the people of Middle Earth too. Yeah. Yeah. So we should work together. And Galadriel's like, yeah, we should. Here's the information that you need. Here's the Elven armies. This is where my Adar. I wonder if he was like, holy crap, was that easy? No wonder Sauron manipulated you. Senior John Jessica 499 says Sauron planned the exact timing and position tuning for himself and Galadriel to meet in the ocean. He can totally time that attack on Eregion. Well, thank you for the super chat. Unironically, though, it was complete random chance. That's confirmed in episode 1 of season 2. He ran into Galadriel completely by random. Watch my review episode 1 where I've spit at that, because holy crap, but that's actually what it is. So Galadriel's upset, and then she's like, you can't defeat Sauron. It'll take more than a legion you have. And he's like, well, get stuffed. I got heaps more with me. I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's like,
beyond any doubt who he is.
So yeah, this is again, he's like, you told me what I needed to know, sucker. I also have an army. But now Galadriel does ask a question. Again, selective stupidity, right? Because Adar should be asking, now that he knows, unironically, like, without a doubt, who Sauron is, that he was Halbrand, Adar should be asking, why did he ask me to come this way and tell me where he is so I can come and kill him? That would be a bit of a red flag that something suspect is happening. But selective stupidity, he's now going to be stupid, and Galadriel's going to be the one to ask that question to him.
Of his own. So he has lured yours here instead.
He's lured you here instead. And Adar should be like, yeah, you're actually right. That is a bit of a problem. What's up? And I don't actually know what Sauron's plan is at this point, because it's not helping him out with the creation of the rings. See you, Jessica. Sauron, all according to plan, not luck, honest. It's just random things happen. And after the fact, he's like, yeah, that I planned that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And everyone's just like, you unbelievable mastermind, you can warp reality to your very whim. And he's like, yes, fear me. You know what I can do. Oh my gosh. Is Sauron in Z plan yet? Plan A, B, C. Should have failed. Oh my gosh.
He wants you to attack Eregion.
And I am wondering why. I hope it's not something this stupid. And I hope, look, they would write Adar being this dumb. Sauron has lured Adar and his army to attack Eregion so he can somehow kill Adar, even though he could have just killed Adar in Mordor. Remember, I said it's dumb. This is really dumb, but I wouldn't put past the writers to actually unironically have this be Sauron's master plan. And so it was to bring Adar out of Mordor, and he's going to kill Adar and take leadership of the orcs in his stead. Even though he could have just killed Adar in Mordor and done that then, but that might actually be the plan. It could be that dumb. Sorry. Just taking a moment of silence for my lost brain cells. They will be missed. And I want to say they will be remembered, but because of the lost brain cells, I won't remember them. So no, they're going to be forgotten as well. It's a tragedy. We will see if it's true, but the show is that stupid. And so instead of actually saying, yeah, that might be a problem, he's like, nah, get stuffed. I know what's up. And she's like, this is what he wants. You're playing into his head. And Adar, just selective stupidity, is like, blows the horn. And all that is his massive orc army. They're getting ready. And this is where they show where they're located. And I just like, holy crap, they've been there the whole time. Because this whole episode with him talking to Galadriel have not shown him moving anywhere. He's been in the same spot. And look, it's dark. Let the screen clear up a bit. Can you see the mountain right there? Along here, that's actually the mountain. And right, like, they're just on the other side of that hill. That's Eregion. That's the hill. And it's like, you telling me no one in that tower could look out and see this massive army? They've been there for days. Sauron literally went to the dwarf place and back in that time. It's probably just teleported, so maybe it's only been 20 minutes. Yeah. Nobody heard that, right? No one saw the smoke, the fires. No, and they're saying they killed all the scouts. It doesn't take much to someone like get on top of that mountain, that hill, and see just fire like a kilometer away. Like, oh, there's a massive army. I don't need to get close enough, and just come back and report. We are Harbinger for $2 says I knocked my screen. I'm just fixing the screen there. They got to talk to God about those faulty elf eyes. Yeah, the fact the elves couldn't see this. It's insanity. It is dumb. And right there. Senior Jessica for 190 says, how many orcs survive Galadriel's genocide? I don't know. Do not know. And it just made me fall over. This show is so dumb. And the orcs, they're all being mean orcs now. And this is where they have, like, getting ready massive trebuchets. And so the city's now they're at alarm. They're like, oh crap, what's going on? We're under attack. Oh dear.
We're under attack.
Like they just noticed it right there. You guys deserve to be wiped out. You're that incompetent. Come off. Pull the other one. But no, that's it. We're under attack. Only seeing it now. So everyone's freaking out. Sauron is like, all according to my plan. Whatever that plan is. Because this could ruin his plan. And it almost does. Okay? Because he goes up to Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor hears what's going on. He's like, what? That doesn't sound right. And so he wants to go out and check out what's going on. Sharon's like, you should stay up here. And look, thank goodness they didn't write Celebrimbor to be so insanely dumb that he was like, oh yeah, I can just ignore it. They might have, because his brain isn't kind of, working right. He's under the influence of Sauron, but not enough. And so he actually does something, because you'd think like it would have to be so extreme to not go out and check out what's going on. Is like, no, I got to go check it out. Sauron's trying to stop him. I assure you, I have the affairs of the city well in hand. Celebrimbor's like, get stuffed. It sounds like a battle. I got to go to see what's going on. And so then Sauron is going to do his magic. This is the second big, this is the big magic thing. And holy crap, right? Again, rules. This sets a standard of something that, because they haven't really shown him do much magic, except when he, does the ice fart explosion and freezes entire land that doesn't harm anyone right near him, and he can turn into a goo monster. Yeah, they haven't shown him shapeshift, but this is like something he can actively do. So, because since being Halbrand, we haven't seen him do too much magic. Now he's doing it. Senior Justica for 199 says, looks like meat's back on the family menu, boys. The orcs are hungry. They're going to fight. So Celebrimbor's leaving anyway, and this is Sauron working his magic. He closes his eyes. And it looks like he's trying to let a silent fart out, silent but deadly. He doesn't want anyone to notice too much. He's like, there it is. That's what he was waiting for. Anyway, sorry, this is him doing magic. Carmen Wright of $5 says, starts the episode with an elf demonstrating their superior hearing. Now a whole orc army in plain view somehow sneaks up on the entire city of elves. This show, man. Oh my gosh. X-Ray Girl, good to see you. Shad in the morning. I love this. Yeah, it's a later night stream for me, but it lines up, and I'm happy to do it. And it's good to see you, X-Ray Girl. Good to see you joining in. Senior Don Justica for 199 says, do orcs give their kids meals? Made of kids? It's very possible. Very possible. All right, so Sauron's working his magic, and boom, he works. And the magic is this. Brimbor goes out of the city, and it's a complete illusion. He has just cast a magical spell over this entire area, seemingly clouding the mind of Brimbor completely. The issue is, right? I was watching this thinking, okay, they might be able to make this work. If they show Brimbor, when he left the door, didn't go any further than the stairwell outside of his kind of forge, right? And it's all in his head. And it was just a mind-altering illusion type spell, not like an area illusion spell, that it was all in his head. The thing is, though, they showed this is not in his mind necessarily, right? He is in this same physical location because when the spell ends, he walks back in, the spell ends, and Sauron is standing in that same courtyard. But I'll show you, it shifts to it being nighttime and everyone worried being at war, which means Brimbor is literally in the courtyard during the alarm, the battle, everyone walking around, and no one approaches him. This is the Lord of the City coming out during a siege, okay? Everyone would want to know what they need to do, what's their orders, what the Lord of the City would think they would want to report to, anything like that. No one comes and shakes him out of the illusion or anything, okay? And that means either he's invisible to other people or they're under a spell or anything like that. It basically means that Sauron's magic is affecting people other than Celebrimbor, which means the thing that he has to get into your head first is bullcrap. He can just use this magic to manipulate and cast illusion on other people at whim. Remember, that sets a standard. That's a precedent in what he can do. That's a rule now that if they were competent, they need to pay attention to and remain consistent with. But they are not consistent with power scales in this show one bit. They never have been. And so they're just going to forget about it. And it's a sign of incredible incompetence and an amateur writer about this. But they've shot themselves in the foot because this is a very powerful bit of magic that Sauron is just whipping out here. And Brimbor is just like, oh, there's no siege. It's all good. Sauron comes down, has a full-on conversation with him saying, you need to make beautiful magic rings that are going to make, like, people, they'll never even remember the Silmarils. They'll only remember the rings. You're going to be so great. Oh, by the way, I have all the mithril ore you need. Yeah, right here. Here's all the mithril ore. Even though the king said he wouldn't give me any, I just went to someone else and got all the mithril ore we need. Oh, in the purest type we've ever gotten, by the way. Refined into a powder by Narvi himself. It is the bestest. So that whole thing with the needing the king's permission is like this bullcrap. Doesn't need that, and that's the illusion that is casting. We are harboring a $5 says this Celebrimbor is just so pathetic. The Shadow of Mordor games portrayed Celebrimbor so much better, and they had sexy goth Shelob of all things. That says something, doesn't it? Yeah, Brimbor in this adaptation is pathetic. Is so dumb and so manipulatable. And so Sauron easily is like, yeah, make the stuff. You're going to be so great. And Brimbor's like, well, yeah, everything's pretty nice here. By the way, he gives him the hammer that made the Silmarils that they showed in season 1. And he walks in and then Sauron's like, well, is it? And it's in the same location. This is where they show it. They walk around. They're gonna, and so both of them were standing in the courtyard during the siege, and no one approached him. So either, right? It's so dumb that no one bothered to grab the Lord of the City during a really urgent bad time, or they were invisible to everyone else. But that's where they were standing. It hurts my head. It's just so dumb. Why and it doesn't take anyone particularly smart to just point these things out. So, oh my gosh. Senior John Justica for 199 says, it's a show about land wizards for kids, Shad. No, it's much more than that. That's what people like. People want to gaslight you to think to not take, media seriously or hold it to a high standard because it should be this is fantasy bullcrap. No. Consistency in writing is important, even in stuff that is fantasy. Absolutely. But I know you're being sarcastic, and that's the tone that people take. So anyway, he's out there. He's happy that everything's being attacked for reasons. He even does this happy kind of stretch, like, yes, this is what I wanted. Very interested to see what this bullcrap plan is. Okay. And then they go over and they show the orcs loading the trebuchets, and then they do the thing. They do the thing where trebuchets are friggin' modern artillery. It's insane. Look at this, right? They launch these things. A trebuchet like that would barely be able to lob something 20, 30 meters. I know, like do you see how flimsy that arm was? It didn't have a big counterweight, and it's launching a big heap of rock, right? To launch something of a considerable distance, you need like a trebuchet 3 times bigger than that. Look up Warwolf, but even Warwolf doesn't like not even close to the range they show this thing. Like, look what happens. Like, look at that thing just gets launched into the air. Holy, look at this crap. This is traveling over 100, 200 meters. It's insane. This is just like, it's modern day artillery. Look at those things. Actually, that might be even further. And they did this in The Long Night in Game of Thrones. Trebuchet, just like insane levels of power. That's not well trebuchet. Pet peeve, happens way too, I can't see it. That annoys me. We need common sense trebuchet control now. Yes, absolutely. And ready, the things are coming, and that's it. This is the cliffhanger. And it's going to be like napalm. It explodes like kaboom, right? And boom, that's the episode. It ends on that. Ready for a battle. And if the battle logistics is going to have the logic of those trebuchets, it's going to be very painful. I'm dreading next episode. I really am. I'm oof. But that's it. We got through it. We got through it, everyone. Rings of Power of the Rings of the Lord, Rings of Power, episode 6. Yes, Jessica for 199 says, send Mulan to stop those trebuchets. Don't remind me of the live action Mulan, because I did a whole like fight scene autopsy on the battles logic of Mulan. That's on Shadiversity if you're interested in checking that out. That was rough. Mages Guild for $20 says, ahoy, Shad. Mages Guild org from X again. Dude, thank you. Good to see you. I had gin on hand for this episode, and thankfully there was very little of Bill Bombadillo, Homeless Dave, and Evil Munchkins. It is pure anti-Tolkien, but nowhere near as bad as episode 4 trash. It's hard. It's all blurring together at this point. It didn't feel as difficult to get through as the last episode, but it was rough still. This is anti-entertainment. And it mainly comes from just awful characters, especially Galadriel. She's the main character, and she is so despicable. She's such a terrible character. And in this episode, she becomes even worse if that's beyond nothing. Although you could just say that's consistent with her character. She's just awful, the character. She just betrayed her entire people and sided with orcs. Oh my gosh. But there we go, everyone. We got through it. That is Rings of Power, episode 6. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on these live streams. You make it worthwhile, chat. I appreciate you all. We got another super chat from Piston for $2. We are going to see the Bridge of Barad-dûr. Are we going to see the Bridge of Barad-dûr? Oh, I wouldn't put it past them. That's maybe how the dwarves need to evacuate when the Balrog is just wrecking them all, because that's going to come to, gosh, next episode. And the one, like I said, that's going to be rough. But thank you, everyone, for joining in. Appreciate you all. Time to wrap it up and sign off. So I hope everyone has a good day or good night or wherever you are. And as always, stay on watch.